because of the fact that he was very inspired by the election. They wouldn't do it without that election. I can tell you a lot of people wouldn't. You saw last week where we have somebody who's going to go from 100 to $200 billion. And we have many other people, and we'll be bringing some of them out. Some of them like to do it somewhat more quietly, and some don't. And they feel so strongly about the country that they
just walked by. I
want to
didn't
let
touch
people
it.
know about it.
Yeah.
But it's an honor to have such a great investor investing in our country. The investment will support massive new data centers across the Midwest, the Sun Belt area, and also to keep America on the cutting edge of technology and artificial intelligence. He's very big into the data centers, and that's going to be a very hot item in the coming years, as you know, with AI. In particular, the first phase
He
of
said,
the project will be in Texas.
some guy invested $20 billion.
Louisiana, Ohio,
Somewhere?
Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana.
Some guy
Those
invested
places.
$20
And
billion.
Hussein, I'd love you to come up
Good
and
for
say a few
him.
words. Thank you very much.
A rich
Thank you.
bitch.
Thank you.
That was it?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's
Oh,
been
that's
amazing
bad.
news for me and my family when he was elected in November. We've been waiting 4 years
Who is he?
to increase our investments
Oh.
in U.S. to very large amount of money. We are a company operating in more than 20 countries around the world. We have delivered more than 45,000 luxury units and another 45,000 in the pipeline. In data center, we are in 10 countries around the world, in Asia, Europe, and Middle East. And we're very, very excited now with his leadership and his open strategy and policy to encourage businesses to come to US. For the last 4 years, we've been waiting for this moment. And we're planning to invest $20 billion and even more than that if the opportunity, the market allow us. But at the moment, we're planning $20 billion in data center, catering for the AI and cloud business for the hyperscalers.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Mr.
Great
President.
honor. Thank you very much. So nice.
Yeah, okay.
And then he knows what he's doing. He knows. So Hussein, we're going to work with you.
Where does he hold these press conferences from? Does he have like a room in his mansion with all those flags and the crested shit?
Invest over $1 billion in the United States. We're going to give expedited reviews to everybody because everyone's afraid they're going to come in and get caught in the quagmire, which is very prevalent in the United States, unfortunately, the quagmire of environmental and various other regulations and rules. And I made it a point of telling people if you invest $1 billion or more, we'll do this for people with far less too. But we guarantee it. We're going to move them quickly.
Give
through
me
the
some money and I'll
environmental
invest it.
process. Sometimes people held
What?
$1 million. I
12,
said, give me
13,
some
14,
money and I'll
15
invest
years.
it.
I saw it with plants in Louisiana where I got it approved in literally a week, and they were through the review in 1 week after spending 14 and a half years trying to get it, and they were going nowhere. It was a terrible thing. So I've been a victim of that myself over the years, and I think I know all the games and all the tricks that are played, and much of
Yeah,
it
you
is
don't pay your
just done
bills.
to stop.
You don't have
So
to.
we're going to be helping you and everybody else that comes to the United States and wants to invest their money, that you don't get tied up for the rest of your life. This commitment further underscores that many of the greatest business leaders on earth are seeing a very bright economic future for America since the election. As you know, a lot of positive things have happened.
You're not supposed to look at the paper.
inheriting a
Only
difficult
Biden can do
situation
that.
From the outgoing administration, and they're trying everything they can to make it more difficult. Inflation is
Don't read
continuing
it.
to rage, and interest rates are far too high. And I've been disappointed to see the Biden administration's attempt to block the reforms of the American people and that they voted for. We had a landslide election. We won
Man,
every
those hash
swing
browns
state.
are
We
good.
won the popular vote by millions and millions of people. Nobody even knows how many people, millions. And they're still counting in some areas. You know, they're still counting the vote in some areas. Can you believe this?
Yeah.
What a place.
What?
A horrible
Yeah.
place. One of the
You
big
believe
issues
it?
We've got to fix the elections.
It's January.
Discounts, and they get done by.
It's been a month and a half since election day.
Something up thereabouts. There are places where they're still counting votes. President Biden's actions yesterday on offshore drilling, banning
Yeah, that's-
offshore drilling.
That was
will not
stupid.
stand. I will reverse it immediately. It'll be done immediately. And we will drill, baby, drill. We're going to be drilling in a lot of other locations, and the energy costs are going to come way down. They'll be brought down to a very low level.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's gonna
Hear that,
bring
Nanny? He's gonna
everything
lower your
else
electric bill.
cost it to go up,
Yeah.
along with the
We'll wait and
ridiculous
see.
spending on the Green New Scam.
And the gas
All
bill.
this money, trillions of
Well, the
dollars.
gas
just
bill,
like
yeah,
throwing it
definitely.
Right out the window what they're doing.
Because he wants fracking
they're
and all
trying
that
to spend
stuff.
so much
Yeah.
now, they're just taking money
Definitely.
and giving it to anybody that wants it for any project at all. If it's certified under the Green New
I'm
Scam,
eating an orange, dude.
and they don't work.
You don't eat oranges.
And
You just want to make sure.
they told me that we're gonna
See, you don't eat
make it
oranges.
possible to make this transition to the new administration very smooth. It's not smooth because they're doing that. They're playing with the courts, as you know. They've been playing with the courts
Oh,
for 4
you
years.
poor
Probably got
boy.
me more votes because I got the highest number of votes ever
Did you
gotten
play with the courts?
by a Republican
No.
by far, actually, by a lot.
Sure did.
And
Really? Then why isn't Hillary Clinton in jail?
Election, so I guess it didn't.
Why isn't
work,
Joe
but
Biden indicted?
To this day, they're playing with the courts and they're
Off the
finally
table.
judges that like to play and make everybody happy. It's called weaponization of justice, and it's happened at a level nobody's ever seen before. So many. I defeated deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged individual. I guess he's on his way to the Hague. And we won those cases. Those were the biggest ones. And the press made such a big deal out of them, but we did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong on anything. And the people saw that. You know, when they vote, when the Republican wins the popular vote by millions, it wins all 7 of the swing states. People said, well, he could win 4. We won all 7, and we won them by a lot. And that tells you we won. That tells, and they've been watching this injustice. I call it the Injustice Department. The world has watched that. And it took work, but it got me a lot of votes because when explained, we have a judge.
Go
in
on
New
to
York
the
who's a
next
very
subject.
perfect
Don't
judge.
keep repeating it.
Says the person who asks the same question 9 times a day.
The most popular- you know that I'm the president-elect of the United
You're an
States
idiot.
of America.
Really? He's an idiot?
Successful
Why is he an
president,
idiot?
the greatest
Repeats
economy
the
in
same
history of our
question
country.
over and
We had
over.
borders that were sealed and
Get on the
beautiful.
next
Everything
subject
was
and
good.
give
He's
it.
making a point.
We defeated ISIS. We did no wars. Now I'm going into a world that's turning with Russia and Ukraine, with Israel. You took a look at that attack, October 7th, the attack on Israel, with the horrible way they got out. Not how they got out. I would have been out before them. We would have been out of Afghanistan.
Now my ear popped.
I almost choked on my orange.
Went back again to where it
13
was.
dead and many, many badly, horrifically injured. Nobody ever talks
Come
about
back
that.
out.
No arms, no legs. Nobody ever talks about that. The way they got out was outrageous, leaving billions of dollars of brand new military equipment that I bought in the hands of the Afghans and specifically the Taliban.
You bought.
That's the group.
Yeah.
And we were doing very well.
I'm talking about the $86 billion that Joe Biden left behind in Afghanistan.
So badly handled that withdrawal. where
2
people
Black Hawk
jumping into
helicopters, they
airplanes,
fly
falling off the
around
sides
during
of
fucking
airplanes when they're
parades.
3,000 feet in the air. And nobody's ever seen anything like that, the worst. And because of that, I think Russia went and attacked Ukraine. When they saw that, they said, these guys are incompetent. They don't know. But we know what we're doing now. And that's going to all end. And we have a great military. I defeated ISIS, as you know. We were in no wars. I just finished a couple. And we got also our soldiers guarding Syria and Turkey. We're in the middle. We had 5,000 soldiers that would have been gobbled up with 2 armies. We had one army, 300,000. We had another one, 500,000 or 600,000. Getting ready. We had 5,000 people in the middle. I said to a general, 5,000 people do in that case. And the general just looked at me and said, not well, sir, not well. And I took him out. And you know what happened? Nothing. I got criticized. I saved 5,000 lives, actually. And we did a great job, and we're going to do an even better job because now we have a tremendous amount of experience. We have people that I can rely on, but the 625 million acres, people can't realize that's like the whole ocean. Take an acre, an acre. You have a house on a half an acre or a quarter of an acre or an acre. If you have an acre, you have a big deal. Now you multiply that by 625 million acres. It feels like the whole ocean.
Oh, stop it already, would you?
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
We don't manufacture. The thing we have oil and gas more than anybody in the world. We're gonna have more of it too. But they took away 625 million acres of offshore.
Excuse
Nobody
me.
else does that. And they think they have it, but we'll put it back. I'm going to put it back on day one. I'm going to have it revoked on day one. We'll go immediately if we need to. I don't think we should have to go to the courts, but if we do have to go to the courts, they try to be sneaky. They go in and they sign. Remember, this is a man that said he wants the transition to be smooth. Well, you don't do the kind of things. You don't have a judge working real hard to try and embarrass you. Because I did nothing wrong. By the way, I did absolutely nothing wrong. If I did something wrong, I wouldn't be standing here right now because I've won all these cases. Nobody's ever won so many cases. This is all over the place. People were being subpoenaed, lives were being.
Oh, hello.
What's
What's up?
Everything they had, money. We were helping them out. We had to. They were subpoenaing people that had no idea.
This is the most entertaining thing.
That's a
Oh, good, the cat moved. I can sit here so I can see what these people are saying now.
Here, sit here. I don't want to hear him. I heard enough of him.
Oh, from Mexico? My grandmother was Mexican. She was Northern Mexican Apache. Like 90% Northern Mexican Apache and 10% Spanish.
In a place like the United States, I don't even know if it's been on a
The
small
Español es no bueno.
This was the largest level ever. They brought this moron out of the Hague.
But this guy, oh my God, he's like a comedian.
It's perfect. Because you look at his picture, you say, that's a bad guy with his robe, his purple robe. And he executes people. He shouldn't be allowed to execute people. He'll execute everybody. He's a nut job.
Everything's everything. We'll put it that way.
And
I don't know, man. I'm just glad that I got to wake up and see my favorite person in the world.
And we won the case. She was a brilliant judge.
How are you?
Courage. The left, as we call them, the radical left, they have a way, they play the ref. And they play it very hard. They play the ref. They go and say horrible things about judges and prosecutors. And some judges and prosecutors say, look, the only way I'm going to get these...
Oh, your English is good.
...is to give victory to them.
I
think it's illegal what they do.
I always feel bad when people apologize about their English.
Judge,
you speak two languages. That's pretty fucking awesome. I had a friend. He was Puerto Rican, and he used to be like really shy about speaking and stuff. And I tell him, I'm like, yo, Wally, I was like, I said, you could be a language coach. I said, you could teach little kids English.
So that's what
well, he didn't believe me, man. I mean,
all they do is talk.
Your English is way better than my Spanish, so
everything they do is talk.
I should be the one apologizing.
They take 625 million acres. And they,
Danny, he's still talking about the 625 million acres.
We're going to be opening up Anwar. We're going to be doing all sorts of things that nobody ever thought was even possible.
What do you mean he can't count?
His
IQ is over 130.
Sometimes I wonder.
He's honest to God, he's one of the top 10 smartest presidents we've ever had.
Worth probably, I've had estimates
based on IQ.
$40 to $50 trillion. That's more
Oh,
than national debt.
He probably got a bill
Essentially,
again.
he's throwing it away.
Well,
He's
I'm not
throwing
paying it.
away.
Now, who the hell? Why am I getting a bill from them?
From who?
$50 trillion.
Dennis, from my dentist.
Oh, you got a free gift. Look at that.
He's taking $50
Yeah.
trillion
Easter seals, they want
money.
money.
Oh, yeah.
They want money. Everybody here wants
Yeah.
money.
That's me.
Nobody can do that. One other thing he did yesterday, which was in many ways worse. It's hard to
What's
believe it
this
could be
for?
worse. He wants
Oil
all
tuna?
gas heaters
Who's
out
this?
of your homes and
Like,
apartments.
stop.
He wants them to be replaced by essentially electric heaters. I don't know what it is with electric. This guy loves electric.
There's more money here.
This guy loves electric.
Shriners.
This guy
More
loves
money.
electric. And
This is yours too. Morning call.
Open
Open it. Make sure it's not a bill.
It's not a bill, Nanny. Look, it's paper and it's taped together.
Bernie had a big thing.
It's not a bill.
Okay.
See, look. I could have told you that. It's not a bill.
And then I'm throwing it out.
That is for going across the bridge.
Why aren't I getting my magazine? I got a call, I guess.
And
Who the hell is this?
they're much cheaper to operate.
I don't know.
Much better. They
Trump's
look much better. They look much better.
Rambling on.
60%
I thought it was going to be about, the confirmation of the votes yesterday, but he hasn't said anything about that. But-
There's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with it. He also want to go back.
I have no idea what he's talking about. I mean, first of all, I'm pretty high. And second of all,
so much water you don't know what to do. It's chlorine. It comes down from.
I'd never have any idea what he's talking about. He's just hilarious.
And they want to do no water comes out of the shower. It goes drip, drip.
Right now, he's talking about apparently
So what happens? You're in the shower,
a Democrat somewhere wants to
no water comes
lower
out.
the water pressure in showers or something. I
They
don't
wanna go
know what
back
he's
to
talking
even
about.
Stronger than what they have right now. As you know, I ended that policy. You can have all the water you want. Makes no difference.
You can have all the water you want. See?
There's so much water, we don't know what to do with it.
Oh, it's too big.
But these are all things, they want very, very little
Give it
water
back.
to go into your dishwasher. It's done.
What?
And you know what people do? They just keep pressing,
What?
keep it going. They end up using more water.
Come on.
Likewise, washing machines, they want in your
What's
washing
that?
machine
I gotta pay $60
to have very
for
little
what did
water
they
coming
do?
out of the washing
Get off the
machine. So when
table.
you
Come
wash
here.
your clothing, you
Come
have to
here.
wash it
Yeah.
4 times instead of once. You end up using more water. We're a party of common sense, and things that I'm telling you now is really all about common sense. On January 20th, we'll turn. the
Oh, you're in
economy
Vegas?
around
I'm in
very quickly,
Pennsylvania. I
'cause
live
right now
about
we are-
45
when I think of our
minutes
economy, I think
north
about
of Philly.
inflation. That's
called
what we
Lehigh
have. We have
Valley.
Inflation, I believe.
We
at a
got
level
lots
that
of
we
snow.
never
We
had
got lots of
before.
snow. We
There's
got
never
like
been anything like
an
it.
inch of snow.
And over the next 4 years, the United States is going to take
Probably
off
don't
like a
get
rocket
snow in
ship.
Nevada
Really,
unless
it's
you're
already doing
or you're in
it.
Vegas. Yeah, up
if
in
you
the
take a
mountains they
look,
get snow. But
Just last month, SoftBank announced the $200
what are you looking at,
billion.
bro?
I think it'll be 200. He said between 100, and I said, how about making it 200? And he sort of said yes, but let's say it's 100, but it might be 200, right, Brian? Dollars, United
Here he
States
comes.
creating more than
Come on.
100,000
Come here.
jobs.
Come here.
Hussein just announced a tremendous investment that he's going to make, and that money that's in the bank, he's going to come and do it, and he'll do a great job, and he'll build the best centers in the country, I guarantee, because I know the way he builds. Since my election, the stock market has set records. The S&P 500 index has broken above 6,000 points for the first time ever.
doing?
Never even close. In a single month, small business optimism soared 41 points. Not 41. It went up 41 points. And that's the largest in the 39-year history of the group
Okay.
that does it.
I think I have a better answer to your question
The
here.
economy has just surged to the highest level in history.
Basically,
That's why I
Trump's
have
just
this conference
bragging.
Like that. I take the greatest business leaders in the world. I say, hey, you want to say you're going to invest the money? They're not looking for news conferences. They're saying, what am I doing here? They go in and they invest money, but it's good to know where the smartest business people in the world are investing, and they're investing in the United States. So we've done this all in 2 months of not being there. We haven't been there. And it's pretty amazing, and we think we're going to do some really great things. Really great things. We're being respected again all over the world. The Panama Canal is a disgrace, what took place at the Panama Canal. And Jimmy Carter gave it to them for $1, and they were supposed to treat us well. I thought it was a terrible thing to do. It was the most expensive
What?
structure ever built in the
Were
history
you
of
mad that
relatively.
he said what Jimmy Carter did?
It would be the equivalent of
Jimmy Carter did it.
substantially over $1 trillion today. We lost 38,000 people. Think of it, 38,000 people, they died from malaria, mosquitoes. They were unable to stop
Are
the
they really
mosquitoes. They paid
mosquitoes?
people $5
No, when they
more
built
to take
the
job.
Panama
Many of those
Canal.
people died.
I didn't say
38,000 people died of malaria.
I said
But
from
the deal
mosquitoes.
was-
I said,
That's how you get malaria.
Really?
They don't treat
Yes.
them.
Oh my
They
God, I
charge
didn't
more for
know
our ships
that.
than they charge
Oh
for
my
ships of
God.
other
The only way
countries.
you get malaria is to get bit by
Charge more for our
mosquitoes.
No
Navy
kidding.
than they charge for navies of other countries. They laugh at us because they think we're stupid.
Yeah.
But we're not
Oh
stupid
my
anymore.
God. You
So
talk
the
just
Panama
like
Canal
Justin.
is under discussion with them right now. They
Honest to
violated.
God, you do.
Well, I'm just like him. I don't like
you know what?
I don't like other people thinking I'm
I
stupid.
think you ought to put Justin Jr. on your
because it's
thing though.
That would be the best thing he could do.
and not in good
We would
repair.
murk this bitch.
And they want us to give $3 billion to help fix it. I said, well, why don't you get
Why
the
are
money
you
from
laying
China?
on this?
Because China's basically taking it over.
Because I'm sitting on his
China's
chair,
the
that's
both
why.
ends of the Panama
Jesus.
Canal. China's running the Panama Canal. And they come to see this Biden should never have been run for president.
I'll move
Of
from
course,
his
he
chair.
shouldn't be there, 'cause
No,
that
you
never
can. That's all
happened.
right. I'm
Had to
leaving.
be two
No,
people,
that's
not
why
one.
he's there.
Yeah, I
But
know
they
why
want $3
he's here
billion
because
to
of
fix
you.
the Panama Canal that's run by China and makes a lot of money, China. One of the most profitable structures ever built because you have ships lined up back to Florida, frankly, and they just keep going through. And the numbers are staggering, $500,000 to $1 million a ship.
Well,
And they took it away from us, meaning we gave it to them for $1. But not going to happen. What they've done to us, they've charged us, they've overcharged our ships, overcharged our Navy. And then when they need repair money, they come to the United States to put it up. We get nothing. Those days are over. Working with the Republican majorities in
Panama on notice, son.
slash regulations, raise wages, and boost incomes at a pace the world, and certainly not from our country. We had a big chunk of it for the first 3 years of prior to COVID coming in my administration. We had the greatest economy in history. We cut
yeah,
the
give
most
him bleach.
regulations in the history of our country, and I did that all in
Idiot.
4 years.
You do realize that you're the idiot for saying that. Because he never said
we did
inject
that in
bleach.
4 years,
Drink it.
and we were just getting
No,
started.
he never said it.
Will impose new tariffs so that the products on our stores
At
will
the
once
time,
again be
they were
stamped
working on a
with those beautiful
UV
words, "Made in
injection
the USA,"
that you shoot into your brain
and,
of blood
we
and
are
it
not treated
disinfects
well,
your
as you know,
blood.
by Canada.
So what he said was,
I don't
he,
wanna hear it.
of course you don't want to hear it because you're fucking
About
ignorant.
$200 billion
You
a
think he's an,
year plus
an
other
idiot
things.
because he
And
said
they don't
inject bleach,
essentially have a
but he
military, they have a
didn't.
very small
And
military.
you're an idiot
They
for
rely on
believing
our
it.
military.
I'm trying to
Well, fine,
explain to you
know,
how
we
you're
gotta pay
wrong
for
so you don't
Sorry,
look like an
so many-
idiot and you're mad at me.
Great friends.
I don't understand.
One of them is the great one.
Like, I'm trying to stop you from looking like an idiot in front of other people and ultimately in front of people that I know, because I don't want them to know that you think he said to inject
Let's make
bleach.
it governor. I like it better.
More for me than it is for
But no,
you, but
something's going to have to be done.
he
Same thing
didn't
with
say it.
Mexico. We have a massive deficit with Mexico.
But
And
I
we
mean,
help
if
Mexico
you-
a lot. They're essentially
Steve's
run
here.
by
I'm
the
gonna go get the
cartels. And
oh wait,
I just gave it to you
then why is he walking that
Mexico's
way?
really in trouble.
because he's
A
going
lot of
to his
trouble.
truck
Very
Why doesn't he
dangerous
park the
place.
truck down there?
because he
And
parks it
we're
up here.
Going to be
Why? That doesn't
announcing
make sense.
a future date pretty soon. We're going to
That makes
change
sense.
because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing sort of
Oh,
the opposite
wow.
of Biden, where
Chicken
he's
breast,
closing everything up,
$1.97.
essentially getting
Uh-huh.
rid
I
of
could make
50 to 60
Prices
trillion
are going down
dollars
because
worth of
Trump's
assets.
president.
We're
I
going to
could
be
make no,
changing
I
the
could
name
make
of
a
the Gulf of
whatchamacallit,
Mexico to
chicken paprika.
the Gulf of
Well, I told you I
America,
want to make beef
But
paprika.
it's-
which has a beautiful ring that
It's
covers
a digital. They'll
a
give
lot
it
of
to me for
territory.
that
The Gulf
price.
I
of
wanted to make
America,
beef
what a
I
beautiful
haven't
name.
had chicken in
And it's
a while,
appropriate.
have I? It's
It's
nosy.
appropriate. And Mexico has to stop
Yeah,
allowing
well, it's
millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too, and the drugs that are coming through are record numbers. Record numbers.
Oh, I hope
So
he
we're
says
gonna
something
make up
about
for that by
Trudeau.
putting tariffs on Mexico and
I
Canada.
hope.
Oh, they have
Substantial
Celeste for
tariffs.
$1. Ooh, pizza. I
Now, we
have to
want to
give
get
some
along
of
with
those.
everybody, but, you know,
I haven't had a
it's
Mama
gotta- it
Celeste
takes two
with
to
cake on
tango.
it in a while.
We're approaching the dawn of
What else do
America's
they have for
golden
$1?
age. It's going to be a golden age for America. We
Mac
have
and
things that
cheese,
nobody else has. We
macaroni?
have more natural
Oh, I got mac and
resources. We
cheese in
have
there too. Yeah.
number one.
Pudding?
Nobody knew
I
that.
got
until I
buffalo
came
chicken
along.
mac and
I made us
cheese and
number
pizza
one
mac
with
and
number
cheese.
three.
Ramen.
I made us number
Hell
one
yeah.
in a very short period of time in drilling. And you know, you can talk about windmills. They litter our country. They're littered all over our country, like dropping paper, like dropping garbage in a field. And that's what happens to them, because in a period of time, they turn to garbage. Most expensive energy ever. They only work if you get subsidy. The only people that want them are the people that are getting rich off windmills, getting massive subsidies from the U.S. government. And it's the most expensive energy there is. It's many, many times more expensive than clean natural gas. So we're going to try and have a policy where no windmills are being built. You know, off the coast of New Jersey, they're going to build like 200 windmills that people are going crazy. Nobody wants them. And they're very expensive. They don't work without subsidy. You don't want energy that needs subsidy. Energy is a good business. You don't need subsidy. But when you build these massive towers, and they're 25 stories tall, 40 stories, they have 170 stories tall. The blades, they take 3 ships to ship them. It's crazy. They're dangerous. You see what's happening up in
With the
the
whales.
Massachusetts area with the whales, where they had 2 whales wash ashore in, I think, a 17-year period. And now they had 14 this season. The windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously. And they had actually over, I think, 125 or something over a number of years. And we don't want that to happen. It's a disaster it's amazing the way a true environmentalist would say, oh, we love wind. It sounds good, but that's about where it ends. You know, after 10 years, you have to rebuild it. And what happens is they don't do that. They let them stand and they rust, and they say, because of the environment, I'm not a believer in this, but they say you can, because it's a certain fiberglass, that the blades cannot be buried in earth, that's an environment. So what do you do with them? What do you do with them? And I don't know if you've ever...
Tell
gone to
Hillary to
Palm
bend over,
Springs,
you'll show her what to
California,
do
any
with
of
them.
these places we have long-term windmills standing. They're a disaster. They're rusting, rotting, closed, falling down. This is as you enter Palm Springs. And they put new ones next to them because nobody wants to take them down, because why should they take them down? It's very expensive to take them down, and you can't do anything with them because the blades, you can't bury them because of the environmental protection. We'll look at that. Doesn't make
How long
sense.
has this
but
been
that's what
going
they
on?
say.
At least half an hour.
So we are at the
27 minutes.
beginning of a great, beautiful golden age of business. And I think we're also at a golden age of common sense, because everything I'm saying to you, from a simple water faucet that doesn't allow water to come out appropriately, to all of the other elements of what we do and what we're going to do, to take 50 to 60
It was
trillion
probably a good thing
off
you
our
didn't go shopping
country's
today.
balance sheet.
Look at the wind.
Because some man that has
Probably would've
no
blown
idea
you
what
over
he's
in the
doing.
parking
He has
lot.
no idea. You know it. I know it.
Probably
The
icy
Democrats
too.
know it. What they did is a crime
No,
by
probably
allowing
not.
that to happen.
Parking lot.
And I'll bet you, if you asked him today, how much acreage did you submit? Essentially,
one.
did you destroy? You destroyed the economic viability of drilling in the ocean. And with AI coming along and all, you know, a lot of people don't realize that AI is going to be a big thing, but you'll need double the electricity at least.
Yeah,
that
I
we
think
have
you're-
right
I
now. So
think
right
you're the
now
only
we
person
produce
he's talking about
electricity
there.
for many, many different.
Ah,
AI is a
He
very
said
big
many
deal.
people don't know that AI is going to be a
Future.
big thing. And I think
China
you, like,
is
you're the
already
only
building
person that doesn't know what
electric
AI
facilities,
is.
big, bold electric facilities, and you know how they're being fired
they
up with
impose,
coal.
they
They're
make
being
you
fired up with coal, and
Identical.
we're going to build
No,
bigger and better
Whatever
ones.
they're doing.
People like
AI is basically a
Hussein
computer that makes
that are
decisions.
doing the same thing as he is. I'll bet they don't do it as well because I know how he does it, but they're doing a lot of things. The problem is they can't get their permits because I say build the plant with the building. So with the structure, build the plant, because if you go into grids are old.
If I ever
So
interview
that's a
him,
great
I'm going to
idea.
ask him what he
In other words,
doesn't
build your
know.
electric facility alongside of your plant. And you could have extra output if you want, because once you build it, you can make it larger pretty inexpensively. You could have extra output, but build it with the plant, and people are loving that idea. So we're going to have a lot of fun making America great again, and it's going to happen, I think, very, very quickly. It's
the
already
wind's
happened.
picking
So
up.
I would
Yeah,
say
pretty
this,
bad.
and this has been pretty openly reported by the news. There's never been anything like what's happened in the list since we won the election. couple of months since we won the election, the whole perception of the whole world is different.
Yeah.
People from other countries have called me. They said, thank you. Thank you. The perception of the whole world is different. We're going to have to settle some big problems that are going on right now. We're going to have to settle up with Russia, Ukraine. That's a disaster. I look at numbers every week. The number of people being killed in that war. People don't know. Mostly soldiers now.
People don't know. They
But the
just don't
towns have
know.
been obliterated. This was a Biden fiasco that he got us. That should have never happened. If we had a real
That would've
president,
never
if
happened
we
if
had
I
a
was
president that
president.
knew what he was doing, Russia would have never ever gone in. But they did go in, and
Funny
we
thing
have
is,
a
though, I
mess.
agree with them.
The cities are all blown up. The people have largely left, and the soldiers are killing each other at levels that haven't been seen since the Second World War. So we'll have to get that one straightened out too. That's a tough one. Much tougher than it would have been before it started. I can tell you that. The deal could have been made just by an average deal maker. Deal could have been made on that. So thank you all for coming. We'll take a couple of
Bye.
questions. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
President, thank you. Wanted to touch on the world on fire that you mentioned, but let's start, if we
Bernie's
could,
noodles.
with your references to.
Are you gonna eat 'em?
And Panama Canal. So what?
Oh, no,
can you
kinda-
assure
I'll throw 'em
the
out if
world
not.
that-
Kind of 50-50 debating whether or not my mom put drugs in it so she could call
You are
the.
not gonna
Oh,
use
God
military
almighty.
or
Tell me she.
Talk so stupid.
Tell me it's not a possibility.
Plan is-
I mean, she used to put fish hooks on the steps when I lived there, so I'd step on fish
Are
hooks.
you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the
Yeah,
strategy?
I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this.
You know
We
what?
need them for
Why doesn't the United
security.
States just
The
take
Panama
over
Canal was built for
Canada,
military.
Mexico,
I'm
Greenland,
not going to commit to that now. It might
Nicaragua.
be that you'll have to do something.
Panama,
Look, the Panama Canal is vital to
Venezuela?
our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we
China.
gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal.
Hostages
But
were
if
a
you
big
remember,
deal.
and nobody wants to talk about the Panama Canal now because, it's inappropriate, I guess, but because it's a bad part of
Well, you know what they're going to be
the Carter
saying right now.
legacy. But
Donald Trump
he was a
bashes
good
Jimmy
man.
Carter
He was a
before
good
he's
man.
buried.
We knew him a little bit, and he was a very fine person, but that was a big mistake. Giving the Panama Canal to Panama was a very big mistake. We lost 38,000 people. It cost us the equivalent of $1 trillion, maybe more than that. Probably the most expensive, they say it was the most expensive structure, if we call it a structure, which I guess you can, ever built. And
Wow.
giving that away was a horrible thing. And
I'm
I
buying
believe
these
that's why
ramen
Jimmy
noodles
Carter
from now
lost the
on.
election, even more so than the hostages. Those
I think
two
we'd really
things.
like this. You want one?
On Ukraine
No.
and Iran, the two negotiations you'll be heading into. On Ukraine, you said just before it's a lot more complicated now.
Much more complicated.
Do you believe?
Because it would have never started.
Right, but it has started. You've
Well,
got,
not only started, the cities are largely knocked down.
so
They're
you've
like,
got what you've got. At this point, to hold on to leverage in dealing with President Putin, would you make a commitment to the Ukrainians that you will keep
Oh, hey,
supporting
tomorrow
the
when we-
negotiations?
well, I wouldn't tell you if that were the
Would you
case.
make a commitment to provide a security guarantee if they do enter into a armistice or a ceasefire
Yeah.
along the lines of the French and the Germans?
So, a big part of the problem was Russia for many, many years, long before Putin said you could never have NATO involved with Ukraine. Now, they've said that that's been like written in stone. And somewhere along the line, Biden said, no, they should be able to join NATO. Well, then Russia has somebody right on their doorstep, and I could understand their feeling about that. But there were a lot of mistakes made in that negotiation. And when I heard the way that Biden was negotiating, I said, you're going to end up in a war. And it turned out to be a very bad war. And it could escalate. That war could escalate to be
At
much
any
worse than
moment.
it is right now.
They can never join NATO.
What were you gonna say?
Well, my view is that it
Um,
was always understood. In fact, I believe that they had a deal.
I want to go to
And then
Easton
Biden
tomorrow.
broke it.
For what?
They had a deal which would have been a
Before we
satisfactory
go
deal to
shopping,
Ukraine and everybody else.
I had to fill out
But
my
that Biden
packet
said,
for
no, you have
food
to be able to
stamps and
join
give them
NATO.
my
And
paychecks.
it's always
Yeah,
been, and nobody knows more about NATO
Now I get
than I
food
do.
stamps.
Years ago, when I first started this, I didn't know too much about NATO, but I got it
You're
right
not gonna
anyway.
get any.
I said they're taking advantage. I'm the one that got it.
Yes,
the
I will.
Secretary General was here, as you know, 2 weeks ago, saying
I
that
make $50 a week.
I said if you don't fill out the
Oh, I
paper,
don't fill it
from
out. Okay.
countries that weren't paying their bills. At that time, 28
sugar,
countries,
$2.99.
20 of them were not paying their bills, 21 to be exact. They weren't paying, or they were paying a very small portion. And I raised over $80 billion. That was the number. By saying,
Oh my
if you
God.
don't pay, we're not going to protect
Talk
you.
about me coughing.
And as soon as I said that, the money
No,
came.
Satan
pouring
leaving
in.
my body.
Trump could have said it. Other people could have said it. Bush could have said it. Nobody said it but me. I took a lot of heat. They said, oh, that's a threatening statement. Well, they weren't paying their bills. I said, we're not going to protect you if you're not paying the bills. So, in a true sense, I saved NATO, but NATO's taken advantage of us. And one of the problems that I have, and I've said it openly, I said it to President Zelensky, Europe is in for a tiny fraction of the money that we're in. Now, whether you like that situation or not, Europe is much more affected than the United States. We have a thing called the ocean in between us, right? Why are we in for billions and billions of dollars more money than Europe? And you know, they're a similar size, a little smaller, but they're a similar size economy as the United States when you add them up. And yet Europe is in for a small fraction of the number the United States is in. Now, Biden could have called them up during the term. That's what I did. I said, you have to pay your bills. And they all, one stood up. I won't say who, you'll probably have it, because the papers, the media hated to report on it. But a prime minister up from a country, you know, a famous meeting of 28 nations with no press, no anybody in the room. He stood up, he says, does that mean if we don't pay our bill, and at that point it was 2%, it should be 5%. It should be 5%, not 2%. But at that point it was 2%, but many people didn't pay. Some people didn't pay anything. But many people will wait.
You know who he tells a story like? You want to know who he tells a story like?
Mhm.
Like you.
Well, I think NATO should have 5%. Yeah. Well, you can't do it at 2%.
Oh, someone's getting oil.
2%. Every country, if you're going to have a country and a
Nobody
regular
gets oil
military, you're at
this way,
4%.
up that
I
way.
think they should be, you know, they're in
Yeah,
dangerous
someone's getting
territory. I
oil.
think they
You
should
see the
be-
oil
they
truck go
all
that
for it.
way?
No, I
But they
did
should
It's
not.
right in front of
5%,
Ricky's
not
house, and I was
2%.
going up the
Okay.
street, going down the
I'm
street.
the one that got
Alright.
them to pay 2%. But a gentleman stood up, a prime minister stood up, and he said to me, sir, could I ask you a question? You're saying we have to pay our bills. If we don't pay our bills, will the United States protect us from Russia? I said, if you don't pay, you mean you're delinquent? He said, yes. He said, if you're delinquent, we will not protect you. I took a lot of heat. Although it was somewhat closed door, I took a lot of heat from the media.
And then
And you
motherfuckers
know what
paid
happened?
though.
The money started pouring in. That's why NATO
They
has
got
money.
that
And the
punch for
Secretary
for $5
General said
Oh,
Big
yeah?
jug.
2
it
for
was
$5,
the
that's
most
pretty
incredible
good.
thing he had ever
next
seen
week.
in a
Yeah.
negotiation. Now, if I would have said yes, we will, nobody would have paid. If I would have loved
Yes,
to
we
say,
can.
we'll protect you even if you don't pay. But that's not the way life works.
Two questions related to each other. First, you said on your first day of office, you're going to pardon January 6th defendants. Are you planning to pardon those who were charged with violent offenses?
Well, we're looking at it, and we have other people in there. And as you see, I guess 24,
Oh,
28 people
boy.
came
I'm gonna
out
go
from
take the flag
FBI.
down.
That
Pretty
came out
thick.
very
No.
quietly.
No?
Nobody reported it, but they had people in some form related to
house
the
is shaking.
FBI. They had 4 or 5 people that were strongly related to the FBI. We have to find out about that. We have to find out about Hezbollah. We have to find out about who exactly was in that whole thing, because people that did some bad things were not prosecuted. You know, I see it all the time, and you see it too. People that were doing some bad things weren't prosecuted, and people that didn't even walk into the building are in jail right now.
See, I told
So we'll
you.
be looking at the whole thing, but I'll be.
They've been held without bail for over 3 years. 4 years now.
On Jack Smith's report,
Good afternoon, Mr. President. It's good to see you again. 2 questions about Syria and the ongoing war in Gaza. About Syria, the Pentagon disclosed last month the U.S. has some 2,000 troops in Syria. That's almost double the number initially we were told of 900. Will you keep that troop capacity the same upon taking
Well,
over?
I won't tell you that because that's part of a military strategy, but I will say it was Turkey. Turkey's been after that country in different names and different forms and shapes for 2,000 years. those people that went in are from Turkey. And President Erdogan is a friend of mine. He's a guy I like, respect. I think he respects me also. He's the one that didn't go after certain people after I requested that he not. You know who I'm talking about, the Kurds. I don't know how long that's going to, because they're natural enemies. They hate each other. But he didn't do that yet. And he didn't do it in the past also. He started and I said, please don't do that. And he didn't do it. So, but if you look at what happened with Syria, Russia was weakened. Iran was weakened. And he's a very smart guy.
You know, sometimes
And he
I
sent
wonder
his
if he thinks that
people
he
in there
is the
through
second
different
coming
forms
of
and different
Jesus
names.
Christ.
And they went in and they took over. And
What do you
that's the
think,
way it
Danny?
is.
I have no idea.
It would fit. Like, if Jesus came back, like,
By the way,
he thinks that.
boy, yeah,
I like the guy, but, you know,
in the back.
he's even more arrogant than I
Standing
am.
with my son.
It blows my
Yeah,
mind.
Steve Woodcock, who's just
I don't
got
know
back
how he.
from the
I
Middle
know he's
East,
a
and
billionaire,
done
but I don't know how he made it through
fantastic
life
job.
without getting his ass whooped.
He's a great deal maker. I said, what we need there is a deal maker, because
Maybe
nobody
he knows
makes
how
a
to
deal.
fight.
We have people that understand.
Maybe he's got a
where
black
the
belt in
rivers
Brazilian
are and
Jiu-Jitsu.
where the meats of bounds and bounds are, but they can't talk.
Just shred it.
They can't make deals.
Sometimes you
Steve's
just don't
done a
know
great
things
job. I
about
just want to
people,
thank you,
like-
Steve.
You know why Mr. Rogers wore that red cardigan?
Months.
Because he had
And,
full
he's
sleeve
working
tattoos on both
specifically
his
the
arms.
hostages, trying to get
He
them
got
back.
one every time they got a confirmed kill in Vietnam.
Steve, come up for a second. Maybe you might want to say
Yeah,
a
let's
couple of
see.
words. I didn't know Steve was going to be here. Actually. He's done a fantastic job, and it's a dangerous job too, and we appreciate it.
This is
He didn't know
recycling.
about this kind of danger and the other deal making he does.
Outside
That was just
recycling?
a lot of big
Oh.
danger. Come on up, Steve. Just one second. I'm going to give you a little report on the hostages, if I can, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Who's this guy now?
Wow.
Oh, fucking no.
Well, I think we're
His
making a
name's
lot
Steve.
of progress. And I don't want to say too much because
You
I
don't
think
know
they're
too
doing
much.
a really good job back in Doha. I'm leaving tomorrow back to go to Doha. But I think that we've had some really great progress, and I'm really hopeful that by the inaugural, we'll have some good things to announce on behalf of the president. I actually believe that we're working.
So this guy thinks they're going to get the hostages out of Palestine before Trump gets inaugurated.
That he has said that are driving this negotiation, and so hopefully it'll all work out and we'll save some lives. I believe we've been on the verge of it. I don't want to discuss sort of what's delayed it. There's no point to be negative in any way. But I think it's the president, his stature, what he said he expects, the red lines he's put out there. That's driving this negotiation. I'm going back probably either this evening or tomorrow night.
Goodbye.
Will be a deal before January 20th, or is that something that's likely to happen? If there's a deal even at all, we've been hearing this now for the better
Hey,
part.
I'm going to make another
I would say
pack of these noodles. Will you try one noodle?
Right. I would say
Why?
that the president.
I bet you it tastes a lot like
is
your General Tso's
exasperated. I don't
chicken.
want to talk for him, but look, I don't know anyone who delegates better than President Trump. He gives us a lot of authority to speak on his behalf, and he exhorts us to speak emphatically.
Look at Trump. Look at he's just staring at this guy.
You better get it.
You
You
know,
better
he's
do
like,
this, 'cause the
yeah, you
alternative-
better be saying nice things about me. Yeah, you better say I delegate good.
No, I think they heard him loud and clear. Better get done by the inaugural.
When you say all hell must be
Before I
paid,
take office.
that all hell must be paid if they don't release the hostages.
What, do I have to define it for you? All hell will break out. If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good for
Yeah, buddy.
I say anymore, but that's what it is. And they
Go
should
get
have
'em.
put back a long time. They should have never taken them.
Go get him,
It
Donnie.
should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed.
God damn, Danny. I feel like America now.
I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back? That beautiful girl where they threw her in the car, pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? Sir, she's dead. Like a 19, 20-year-old beautiful girl. And the way they treated her. And I just say this very simply. Steve's got a job to do. He's a great guy, great negotiator, great person. They respect him over there already. It's what we needed over there. We have people that know everything about the Middle East, but they can't speak properly. They don't know. He's a great negotiator. That's what I needed. I could have said that gentleman right over there who's saying he's a great negotiator. They're the people. They're rare. Great negotiators are very rare, like a great surgeon. But we have the right person. But I tell this, I don't want to hurt the negotiation. If the deal isn't
I
done
bet
before
you-
I take office, which is now going to be
I bet you that if he was capable of giving himself a blowjob, he would claim that he gives the greatest blowjobs in the history of the world. Bet you.
Police officers were injured by rioters on January 6th. Will you pardon anyone who attacked a police officer?
Well, you know, the only one that was killed was a beautiful young lady named Ashley Babbitt. She was killed, and there was actually somebody else that was killed, also a MAGA person, but people don't give it 100% credibility. I'm going to find out about it, and we're going to find out. But Ashley Babbitt was killed. She was shot
In the neck by a
Should have never
racist
been
black
shot.
cop.
She was shot for no reason whatsoever. In fact, they say that she was trying to hold back the crowd, and the crowd was made up of a lot of different people. So we'll see. But I will tell you this: the person that was killed was Ashley Babbitt. The other thing is, when they talk, you know, there was never charges of insurrection or anything like that.
No.
But if there were, this would be the only insurrection in history where people went in as insurrectionists with not one gun. Okay? And let me tell you, the people that you're talking about have a lot of guns in their home for hunting and for shooting and for entertainment, a lot of good reasons.
Yep.
But there wasn't one gun that they found. And why didn't they find the bomber, the pipe bomber? You know, they know who the pipe bomber is.
Because-
The FBI knows who it is.
It was Hillary
The
Clinton.
status of the FBI has gone down so far, and the status of the DOJ, or as I call it, the Department of Justice, it's the Department of Injustice, being laughed at all over the world. And hopefully with Pam Bondi and with Kash Patel and with other people that we're putting in, that will all come back. If you do a poll in the FBI, I guarantee I'm at like 90% with the agents of the FBI, but they have hurt that incredible place. Law enforcement, I mean, you think of the FBI, they raided this house. By the way, they could have told me, could I see this guy? I would have given him I actually told them, come in anytime
Danny,
you want.
If you did a
see
poll
anything.
of the
They
people who work
raided
for
the
the
house,
FBI,
and the case was
90%
dismissed.
of them would love Trump.
And now
but
I'm
the
in litigation.
organizations-
I'm suing
What are you
them
putting-
for doing that. And I feel so badly doing it. I'm the president of the United
think
States.
Vaseline
I'm
works
suing
better.
the United States, but I'm suing them for other things too. The FBI has gone so, its reputation has been so horribly hurt between Comey, who is the worst, and all of the others. What's happened to the FBI is, and we're going to make it great again. We're going to make the FBI
Not
great
really.
again.
I was
We're gonna
wearing a.
make
Keep it
the
on me in
Department
case
of
I put them
Justice
on
fair
later.
and strong, but fair again. Because all they did was attack me because I'm their political opponent, and that includes with local judges like Marshawn. You ought to find out.
Fuck
You ask
Marshawn.
him, why do I have a gag order where I'm not allowed to speak? Think of it. I'm the president of the United States, and I'm not allowed to speak. Why? Because if I did speak, people would understand the scam. It's a scam. And we have very dishonest judges, and New York judges are very bad. We had one that valued this house at $18 million because it was good for their case. He actually valued that chandelier is worth more than $18 million. He valued this house as $18 million. And we have another one who was so nasty, so horrible, such a brute, the most vicious, vile person.
Ingeron.
And he's a New York judge. Please.
actions to draw plans? And can you elaborate again? You didn't rule out military coercion.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world. You look at, you don't even need binoculars. You look outside of China, ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen. We're not letting it happen. And if Denmark wants to get to a conclusion, but nobody knows if they even have any right, title, or interest. The people are going to probably vote for independence or to come into the United States. But if they did do that, then I would tariff Denmark at a very high level.
Acquisition? Are you back?
No, we're not at that stage, but we have people. I haven't even entered office yet.
Secondly, sir, Elon Musk draws some criticism and a lot of attention for some of his actions and provocative statements about foreign affairs, including in Europe. Your reaction to that, is that appropriate?
You mean where he likes people that tended to be conservative? I don't know the people. I can say Elon's doing a good job, very smart guy. I don't know the people you're talking about. He was, I know he said some negative things about a couple of people that are running for office, but that's not so unusual. Yes, please.
I wanted to ask you about Ukraine and Putin. How soon do you anticipate going to meet with Putin to discuss the Ukraine situation?
Well, I can't tell you that, but I know that Putin would like to meet. I don't think it's appropriate that I meet until after the 20th, which I hate, because, every day many, many young people are being killed, soldiers. The land is very flat. And hundreds of thousands of soldiers many hundreds of thousands from each side are dead. And they're laying in fields all over the place. Nobody to even collect. There's landmines all over. It's a disaster. But it's very flat. It's great. It's farmland. And it's very, very flat. And the only thing that stops a bullet is the human body. And the human body is stopping a lot of bullets. I hope to have 6 months. No, I hope long before 6 months. Look, Russia's losing a lot of young people, and so is Ukraine. And it should have never been started. That's a war that should have never happened. I guarantee you, if I were president, that war would have never happened.
I'd like to nominate to replace Michael Barr as vice chair of the legislature.
I'll be announcing somebody.
You were working under the assumption that you're serious about giving Canada 51st state of the United States. The leader of the Conservative Party in Canada said, under no circumstances will never be the 51st state.
Maybe he won't win, but maybe he will.
You had suggested.
Listen, I don't care what he says.
Sir Lopez, you're considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire?
No, economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. They make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber.
Well, if Canada becomes the United States,
we don't need their lumber.
Then the cars made in Canada would be made in the United States.
Restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive
No
order.
tariffs.
We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200
We need their maple
million
syrup.
a year and more?
And
to
hockey
protect
players.
Canada? And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you? If we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them. As an example, we're buying icebreakers, and Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have a partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner. But No right. Nope. No right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial debt.
Fucking ain't right.
Because we owe $36 trillion still. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast, but we're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things.
Why do you think we're $36 trillion in debt? Because we keep giving money out all over the fucking place.
But why are we supporting
Not that hard to understand.
200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other
You
things.
walk into the city
Should be a state.
with
That's what I told
$100 in your
when he
hand,
came down. I said,
and you give
"What
a
would happen
dollar
if
to
we
every
didn't do
homeless
it?"
person you
He
see,
said Canada would dissolve.
you don't have any money left. That's why we as a country are broke.
If we didn't take their 20% of our car market, they send us hundreds of thousands of cars. They make a lot of money with that. They send us a lot of other things that we don't need. We don't need their cars, and we don't need the other products. We don't need their milk. We got a lot of milk. We got a lot of everything, and we don't need any of it. So I said to him, "Well, why are we doing it?" He said, "I don't really know." He was unable to answer
Canada,
the
huh?
question. But
The
I
only
can
thing
answer.
that comes
We're doing
from
it because
Canada
it
is
happened.
steers and
And
queers.
we're doing it because we like
You ain't got no
our
horns.
neighbors, and we've been good neighbors. But we can't do it forever, and it's a tremendous amount of money. And why should we have a $200 billion deficit and add on to that many, many other things that we give them in terms of subsidy? And I said, that's okay to have if you're a state. But if you're another country, we don't want to have
Yeah,
it.
fuck
We're
'em.
not going to have it with European Union either. European Union, we have a trade deficit of $350
Maybe could
billion.
we possibly be going to war with
They don't
Britain
take our cars.
for a third time?
They
That would
don't
be
take
awesome.
our farm product.
Well,
They
let's
don't
smack the
take
shit out of
anything.
them again.
And so we're not going to have it with them either.
Fucking whiny bastards.
Brian, go ahead.
Yes, Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you.
We have some breaking news. You may not be aware of this, but it looks like Canon has blocked the DOJ from releasing the Smith's report until further court proceedings. Get your thoughts on
Wow,
that.
that's a big story.
Yeah.
So, if I get it right, the fake witch hunt started by the DOJ having to do with books and records, and Biden had many more, and he wasn't protected by the Presidential Records Act. I was. But all of that fake stuff that took the lives of people, I mean, literally destroyed people. People are destroyed because of what they did. Destroyed. But we got to be president. But Biden did it for 40 years. He did it when he was a senator. It was illegal. And they ruled it was illegal. How about that? They said, it's illegal, but he's unfit to stand trial.
I have it.
And be president of the United States.
Etna.
The prosecutor found that he's unfit for trial.
Hello?
I was going to use that as a
I'm good
major
president, yeah.
talking point, but I never got to use it because all of a sudden I had a new candidate who was also sort of unfit to stand trial, right? But so what you're saying is that the judge just blocked so Cannon was thrown off the case. They dropped their appeal because he had no case. They dropped all of that, the lawsuits against us. They lost the lawsuit. So this is DeRay Jack Smith. So he dropped the lawsuits. He was told to by the DOJ because they had no lawsuit. They lost in court in
Okay,
front of
I
a
guess.
very strong
Have a cold.
and a very brilliant judge. They lost in court, and that pertained to other cases in other courts. So he wanted to do a report just before I take office, probably. So he'll do like a 500-page report, and it'll be a fake report, just like the investigation was a fake investigation. And I said, well, wait a minute. This guy was thrown in disgrace. He's going back to The Hague or wherever they're going to send him in disgrace because he failed so badly, because it was a fake case against a political opponent. They thought they were going to use this to beat me. So what you're saying is I'm just hearing that they're not allowed to issue the report. So if they're not allowed to issue the report, that's the way it should be, because he was thrown off the case in disgrace. Why should he be allowed to write a fake report? It'll only be a fake report. That's great news. Good.
If I can just follow real quickly, if you want to comment, many Americans are angry that we're sending millions of dollars every month to the Taliban. Do you anticipate?
It's not even believable. Billions of dollars, not millions, billions. We pay billions of dollars to essentially the Taliban, Afghanistan. And that's given by Biden. That's the same man that took away $50 to $60 trillion worth of value from the United States. They could probably our most valuable asset. Took away our most valuable asset. This can't be allowed to happen. We are now a nation of common sense. When he does that, 625 million acres, this can't be allowed to happen. Thank you for the information. Most other people probably knew about it, but they wouldn't have told me, right?
Trail, you vowed to bring down the prices at grocery stores very fast.
Yeah, we will
But
do
then you
fast.
recently told Time Magazine that bringing down prices would be very hard. So what can the American people expect when you get into office?
It's always hard to bring down prices when somebody else has screwed something up like they did, but we'll bring them down, we'll get them down. Energy's going to bring down prices. We're going to have a lot of energy, and energy is what brought it up. Energy and their bad spending is what brought it up, and energy is going to bring it down. We're going to have prices down. I think you're going to see some pretty drastic price reductions. As an example, food, bacon, ham, apples, everything has gone through the roof. It's one of the reasons I won. So as you know, and I said it, inflation was one of the reasons I won, but I think the biggest reason I won was the fact that they are allowing prisoners to come into our country. They released their prisoners, their murderers. Thousands of murderers are now walking around the streets of our cities and farmland all over. Murders, people that have killed. Many, 32% have killed more than one person. They released them from their jails, their prisons, and their mental institutions and insane asylums into our country. I believe that's the reason we got such a large vote. All right, maybe one or two more questions. Yeah, please, go ahead. Go ahead, you go.
So, can you, President Carter is laying in state today in Washington. You had some harsh words for him about the Panama Canal. Is there any disconnect there? Do you feel a little bit bad about doing that on the state?
No, I liked him as a man. I disagreed with his policy. So, hey, he thought giving away the Panama Canal was a good thing. I think it cost him the election. That and the hostages. I actually think that was a bigger factor because that's a deal that just should not have been made. But again, this was a question that was asked of me. I didn't bring it up. I didn't want to bring up the Panama Canal because of Jimmy Carter's death. But people don't bring it up. But, you know, you and other people have asked me about it. No, it's a deal that I was very strongly against. I was a young guy when this took place. But just why would we spend all of that money, lose 38,000 people to malaria, the mosquito? They were dying. It was horrible what was happening. They paid them 4 times more than they would make in the United States, but they knew they were going to go over there and die. And they died in the jungles of malaria. There was nothing we could do to stop it. 38 times. And then we gave it away for $1.
From Congress, you appeared to open the door in your radio interview yesterday for 2 bill approaches. It's still your preference for one big, beautiful bill, as you have said.
Well, I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always have, I always will. But if 2 is more certain, it does go a little bit quicker because you can do the immigration stuff early. Now, you have to understand, for immigration and for the wall, we won the case on the wall. You know, they tried to sell the wall for 5 cents on the dollar, by the way. And we had, fortunately, a judge that stopped that. But they were already discarding the wall. And 5 cents on the dollar. And you know what they were doing? They were calling us up and saying, we'll sell it back to you at 200
Still
cents.
talking.
In other words, double what we paid for it. So they were going to buy it from this guy for 5 cents on the dollar. They were making deals. And fortunately, we had a very smart judge that stopped it cold. I think he called for an investigation, too. And he should. But think of it. They were selling the wall. That was exactly the wall that the Border Patrol wanted. That was designed by them. Steel, concrete, rebar. Exactly as they want. Very, very heavy steel. Very powerful steel. Hard to cut. Very, very heavy 7,000-pound concrete, which is a very strong concrete. Everything was top of the line. Very expensive. Would be double what we paid for it then, 6 years ago. But let me just tell you, they were selling it for 5 cents on the dollar to people, and those people were calling us, asking us to pay them 200 cents because it's a good deal because we can have it immediately. And you know what immediately is? Just leave it in place. No, the papers haven't written that though. That deal is like all the other things that these people do. These people either hate our country or they're very stupid. And I don't believe they're stupid because nobody can cheat on elections like they cheat and be stupid. They either hate our country or they're stupid. So remember what I said because nobody wants to report it. They were selling the wall for 5 cents on the dollar. and trying to resell it back to us for 200 cents or less, but for 200 cents on the dollar. That's a nice return.
Stop putting fact checks on the post on its website. And Meta said today would stop putting fact checks on its website and instead allow community.
Well, I watched their news conference, and I thought it was a very good news conference. I think they've come a long way. Meta, Facebook, I think they've come a long way. I watched it. The man was very impressive. I watched it. Actually, I watched it on Fox. I'm not allowed to say that. Say it?
He's directly responding to the threats that you have made to him in the past.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Last time you were here, you were asked a question about the U.S. possibly launching a preemptive strike on Iran. You said you wouldn't answer that question. Obviously, on Iran, the U.S. launching a preemptive strike on Iran's nuclear facilities.
And I said, I don't talk about it. It's a military strategy.
But it is a legitimate question.
Well, it's not really, because only a stupid person would answer it. Look, it's a military strategy, and I'm not answering your questions on military strategy. All right, one more. Brian, go ahead. Brian.
Could you give us a preview of what you might be talking to the leaders of Congress who've expected to come here the next couple of days, and you've got a very supportive Congress behind you?
They're great. So we have a wonderful Republican Congress. We have a leader that I have a lot of confidence in. I think he's going to be hopefully a great leader, a great speaker. And we have a leader, by the way, in the Senate. I think has been great. John Thune has been doing a fantastic job.
Thune.
But it goes through the House first. And the question is whether or not we do the two bills in one bill. And, look, I can live either way. I like the idea of the one big bill, but I can live either way. But they'll be coming down. The senators also will be coming down. And then ultimately we'll be meeting in the White House in a few weeks. But right now, this is the winter season. They sort of call this the winter White House. It was built, I don't know if you know this, Marjorie Meriwether Post and E.F. Hutton built this. It was the greatest of all the estates in our country. And I saved it, and I got a lot of credit for saving it. Most of these big, great houses have been knocked down in Palm Beach. Just about all of them, actually. And they, you built 10 mansions on one site, but we saved it. But this was built as the Southern White House. And she gave it to the government. And by the way, Jimmy Carter gave it back. He said it's too expensive for the United States. So I didn't realize that.
I was just told.
Actually, Jimmy Carter, Nixon was through Watergate. He came down. Nixon came here once, and he thought it was incredible. But he had a thing called Watergate, if anybody remembers that. And so he had other things on his mind, to put it mildly. And Jimmy Carter felt that it was too extravagant for the country. So fortunately for me, he gave it back to the foundation, and I bought it from the foundation.
On reconciliation, some Republicans say in trade for a massive bill that you and they shared the interest in, they want to see big spending cuts. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm okay with spending cuts. I like spending cuts. I'm on the record for spending cuts. And the debt ceiling was given to us. It shouldn't have been, but it was put in our lap. And what I want in terms of debt ceiling isn't the ceiling. I just don't want to see a default. That's all I want. I never talked about spending more money necessarily than all I want to see is no default, because nobody knows what would happen if there was a default. It could be 1929 and it could be nothing, but that was put into our lap. And it shouldn't have been, but it was, and so we'll handle it. But debt ceiling is not about raising a lot of money. It's really just about extending it. I just want to see an extension.
On immigration, how much can you do by executive order? Are you planning to do on executive order when it comes to immigration? And how much do you want Congress to tackle this issue? And also on day one,
We're right at the safest border in the history of our country by far. You remember the famous chart that I brought down. I love that chart very much for a lot of reasons. But I have the safest border by far in the history of our country. And when I took it over, it was a mess. Nothing like it is now. This is 10 times worse. I got elected because of the border the first time. And I think I got elected largely because of the border the third time. And the second time I did equally well. Well, not as well as the last time, but I did very well. And I will say, this was too big to rig. You know the expression? Too big to rig. They couldn't do it. They tried, but they couldn't do it.
Yeah, they tried.
I didn't get very much from Congress at all. I just said that we're being invaded, and I took the money out of the military. Much of the wall, I built over 500 miles of wall much of that wall was built through money that I put into the military. We took it out because we couldn't get things from Congress in those days, and we took it out. And that wall was built largely with money coming from the military. So, very simple. I went to the military, I said, our country is being invaded by very similar, nothing like what's invading our country now. They weren't releasing prisons into our country, and they weren't releasing mental institutions in, but some bad dudes were coming in, right? And I said, our country is being invaded. And I took that money largely from the military. I was sued 9 times by the Democrats in Congress, and I won all those suits. And we ended up building 571 miles of wall. Once that wall was built, they start going around it. So we're going to add another 200. That would have been up in 3 weeks. And then we had a very unfortunate election result. And they said, we don't want to put it up. We'll sell it. And they started selling it for 5 cents on the dollar. What a shame. So we'll do this again. I just want to thank everybody very much. I'm just telling you, this will be the golden age of America. This is the golden age of America. We're going to have a great country again. We're a country right now under siege.
I'd really like
So
to
many
see the
different
deportation
problems.
method
Nobody
being
respects us.
a
Overseas,
parachute
the Italian
and an airplane.
Prime Minister, as you know, came here. the
That's
other night,
what I
just flew
think
in and flew out.
deportation
She wanted
method
to-
should be.
She wanted to see me. And great respect is being shown when I went to the cathedral in France. Great respect was shown by the Prime Minister, the President, by everybody. France was, and by the way, I have to say they did a great job in the cathedral. But great respect is being shown to our country again. And we have a great country, but we have to run it properly. It's going to be run properly. We want to get back those hostages for Israel and for us. You know, we do have people that are hostages being held. And I'll just say it again. If this deal's not done with the people representing our nation, by the time I get to office, all hell is going. Thank you very much.
You've been listening to a rather newsy.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The man, the myth, the legend.
At Mar-a-Lago.
Thanks
There are
for
at least
stopping by.
Very newsy items, one of which was breaking news where the president-elect acted in real time. That's when